Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life we know you can't pretend. The days pass by, they've set in stone. But it's not too late now for you to change your tone.
Hey everybody, it's Marianne from the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees. Today is Friday and it is 6 p.m. Yay. It is September 19th and I am going to be able today to show you all of the things I was trying to show you last night that I wasn't able to because of course there was an update. But also answer whatever questions that you have. Today I did post some stuff online. There's a WorkBite article. We posted our fundraiser thermometer to let you know exactly where we're at with that. And we can always use more help. What I'm also showing you today is we sent, as I said last night, we sent a letter to OLR on September 8th, and we said to them that we needed them to share with us information regarding the New York City PPO replacement plan for active workers and non-Medicare retirees. We demanded access to information that was being shared with the unions that we once again were being left out of, and this plan affects our members. So we were ignored, of course, and then we wrote them another letter, and this time we sent it FedEx and had it sent to their office. That letter received a response that by email that basically said, well, you'll get the information when it's publicly available. That is not an answer. And we reminded them that on 2 occasions before, in both the Campion case and in the Bentkowski case, the New York State Supreme Court granted us a temporary restraining order, a TRO, because the court found that we did not have ample time and ample information to be able to choose that this plan was right for us during the period before being implemented. Open enrollment is November 1 to November 30. You have to have enough time as a retiree to know that this plan is right for you and your family. So it's extremely important that you have this information. Otherwise, you can't answer that question. Now, we've also been talking about people who are in these committees within the UFT. I think the UFT is in its own little bubble because you have the actives and then you have some retired teacher chapter people that were able to take a vote on whether or not this plan was a good plan. And they don't even know what the hell they're looking for or looking at. And I always say this, you don't know what you don't know. So anyone can sell you anything. They can tell you, this pen is greater than sliced bread. But if you don't know that there's, no ink in there because you didn't look at it, you didn't look in it, you don't know that this is a crappy ass pen. This is what's happening with this plan. There's a potential that this plan could be wonderful. There's a potential that this plan would offer a network of doctors and hospitals to people around the country that don't right now have that access. This would be a good thing. However, they're not sharing with you the network of doctors and hospitals. They've kind of misled us in the beginning when they said that there was 1.6 million providers. No, that's not really true because they were saying doctors. Mulgrew said doctors. It wasn't doctors. We debunked that right away, and he walked that back, and he was telling his teachers, it's not doctors. We mean providers. That could be nurse practitioners and physical therapists and RNs, and those are providers. So it was the same spiel that he was giving during Medicare Advantage, trying to sell that to everyone like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread or the Big Pen. This is an issue, and we have to keep highlighting it. We have over 24 questions that we have been asking that are not getting answered. And the answers that they're given are not in writing, it's verbal. The union cannot make a commitment to you. This has to be in writing from the city of New York. Healthcare for active workers is a mandatory subject of bargaining. And as I just said to 2 union presidents today, mandatory subject of bargaining, healthcare for every active worker. That means every union president has an obligation to get this information, bring it back to his members, and research it, investigate it, chew on it, that this is an okay thing for them to have. Because you wouldn't be negotiating a contract like, hey, it's Friday. I know it's 2:00, but sorry, come to this meeting at 10 a.m. and you only have until 3 at DC 37 headquarters to come look at this contract. Who does that? You don't do that for a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement. You take that contract back. Usually you're negotiating it with your committee. You bring it back to your board. Your board takes a vote on it that they're willing to bring this to their members. They think that they're comfortable with it, and then they take a vote on it. This is what you have to do. They don't want the members to know. And for as much as they fought for Julie Menin's Healthcare Accountability Office, there's healthcare accountability. You want healthcare accountability and healthcare pricing, healthcare affordability, hospital pricing, procedure pricing. Why are you not having the same or demanding the same exposure, transparency, accountability with this plan for every New York City dues-paying union member? For the retirees, we don't have a seat at that table. We're relying on the unions to do their due diligence. And it's a concern because we're watching, once again, that they are giving them a sales pitch like a crappy insurance company or a used car salesman without giving them the proof. Why are they in this pickle? Because they misused the stabilization fund, because they tried to sell 102 unions in the city of New York a predatory privatized Medicare Advantage plan to give to their retirees, to force them into it because they needed to finance the stabilization fund. Let's sell off that retiree health care and let's finance the stabilization fund, which what the city would have been paying for them. Oh, and if they want to stay in that plan that they were in before, we're going to make them pay premium. Y'all forget that this group of union leadership of the MLC had no problem with charging you $200 a person a month for your health care. Retirees on Medicare are the least expensive cost of the city of New York. Their premiums are approximately $200 a month for a plan that pays 20% of your healthcare bills. The active workers plan pays 100% of their healthcare bills, and that plan is roughly $1,000 individual, little over, and about $2,800 a month family. And yet they had no problem with selling off your health benefits, charging you premium to stay on a federal public health benefit of Medicare to finance their contracts. And yet they're trying to sell you another plan. I have no faith or trust in the MLC leadership, and no one should. Henry and Michael and the leaders of the MLC, Harry Nespoli, Gloria Middleton, Greg Floyd, all put them in this position. Why would you trust what they say today? I would say, show me the pudding. I want to see that this plan is great. I want to see that if you don't meet the $1 billion in savings that you committed to in this plan in 2022, that after the first year, you're not going to hit me with copays. You're not going to hit me with deductibles. You're not going to hit me with premium. You're not going to put in more prior authorizations that's going to prevent me and my family from having access to care. These are the questions that the people who were at these MLC meetings or the people who were at these RTC, UFT healthcare committees, or any union right now that's holding a healthcare committee analysis of this healthcare plan should be asking. What happens if they don't meet the benchmarks? What happens if the savings don't come through? What happens with the formulary? You're not telling us what drugs are in this plan. You're not telling us what their prior authorizations are, but you're saying, woohoo, there's 50% less. 50% less of what? Where did you put them? The only way this plan is going to save as much money as they say it is if there is strict prior authorization. If the benchmarks aren't made the way that they're saying they're going to be made, and in many cases, it's not transparent how they're going to do it. We did not see that in anything that's been publicly available. Remember, in the Medicare Advantage plan, the unions could change the prior authorizations every 2 years. It was this subcommittee in the MLC secret committee like there is now. There's so many subcommittees of private secret squirrel committees within the MLC. No one even knows who's on these committees when we ask. They are making these decisions. This whatever health agreement would yet create another committee that would then make those decisions, review those prior authorizations. Every union president should be sitting at that table on a monthly basis at an MLC meeting and being told this same exact information. Why? Because healthcare is a mandatory subject of bargaining, and the MLC doesn't have a bargaining certificate. I'm saying it again. The unions who don't feel and agree with us that there's not enough information to be making a decision on this, and we, as well as other unions, gave what they have been given publicly to these health policy experts, public health policy people, who are agreeing with us that there's not enough information to determine whether this is a great plan or a crappy ass plan. This has to happen. Transparency, and it starts with this. Give us the contract. Give us the network. Give us the formulary. Tell us the funding agreements. What happens if they're not met? This needs to be exposed, okay? So we demanded this letter. We sent a letter of these demands to OLR. They basically said to us the first time, you'll get it when you get it. We asked them again, are we going to have it before November 1? We didn't get an answer. We will now reserve our right, if they don't answer us within the next week or so, that if this plan does pass, we reserve the right to then try to get another restraining order or whatever our legal options are. We're committed to moving forward, and we're securing that support right now. So if you're an under 65 retiree, or if you are a Medicare retiree who has under 65 dependents, this is now our fight. We need transparency so that you can rest assured that when you have to make a decision come November 1st, by November 30th, you can adequately make that decision that this plan is good for you and your family. So that's what we're doing. I would also urge you, if you have any relationship with your former unions, if you were in one, that you also start telling them the same thing. We are going to send the unions an email this weekend with the questions that we haven't been given answers to. And we will hope that we're getting answers to them. You will feel free, and I will post that link. You can share that email with anyone you want to. If it's your former union, people on the executive board, whatever, because it's important that the questions get answered. And here's the other thing I said last night. There's a subset of unity people in the UFT going, but we never saw a contract ever on healthcare. That's because there was never a situation where the MLC was trying to replace the plan that was most highly used by employees and retirees, the GHI plan, which has been around forever. They also never tried to force retirees into another plan. When the last time that they tried to do that was in 1997, they ended up just closing the plan to open enrollment and leaving everyone that was in it until they died. You were grandfathered in that plan. And there was over 12,000 people in that plan. They protected the promise that was made to those people that they would have that plan. They didn't dump them into whatever they wanted them to dump them into. They didn't do that. So the union shouldn't be doing that now. So if no one's going to hold them accountable, we will. Let's see, Laura. As you said in your prior video, where is Julie Menon, who cares so much for our healthcare transparency? Well, you could ask her that question. I know. No one asks question these days where we all think we're being taken care of. And that's a mistake. You shouldn't be thinking that, right? Based on past experience, they're screwing everyone. I know. All I know is that I'm out of state and our current plan is complete trash. So Captain and Coke 70. Yes, the plan that you have right now is complete trash. But if this plan that they want to replace what you have is good on its face, but underneath can't provide what it claims it will, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. Don't you think you should know that first? Because right now, the guarantees that are visible from what we're told only cover the first year, 26 to 27. After 27, there are no guarantees from what we're seeing. So if they don't meet the benchmarks in the first year, then they can start to hit you with premium copays, deductibles, and more prior authorizations. Would you prefer that? I think you would be entitled, and you should want to see, the answers to the questions that we're asking. Because while the plan that you have right now is crappy and may not provide you with a doctor, this one may provide you with a doctor, but you're going to pay out your nose for it. Right now, there's a subset of retirees in Florida that keep saying, I'm on this Aetna Medicare Advantage plan and there's no copays. And we keep saying that's going to change. Aetna is not providing copays on the Florida plan because that's where the largest subset of retirees is that are on the Aetna Medicare Advantage plans, like 2,500 people. And so what they're doing is pandering to those people because Sabrina from the account rep from the city from Aetna keeps going to these retiree meetings telling them, here's a $200 gift card to stay in the plan. Here's a $200 gift card to join Medicare Advantage. There's no copays. They have to play to this subset of the people or they don't have any business. 2,500 people are in the Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. That number only went up when people were freaked out that they were going to lose their traditional Medicare. It went right back down after we started winning our cases. If the city is successful in trying to force us into a Medicare Advantage plan, the plan that those Florida retirees are on will go away. They will no longer have a copay-free plan. They will have copays on everything, because their plan will end. And we've been saying this. So while Captain may think that this plan's shitty, the new plan may be shitty in a different way. And you should know that information up front. And the courts have affirmed that. You should have full transparency into what you're being pushed into. This replaces GHI. We want you to have access to a network. We want you to have access to doctors. We want you to have access to the care that those doctors and hospitals are telling you should have. But if you accept this plan without knowing where those prior authorizations are, how they could change, who could change them, how often they could change, you're putting yourself in kind of a HMO-ish styled plan that Henry or Michael or whoever needs to control the cost of the plan for their next contract or next MLC agreement. It's coming out of your pocket. So eyes wide open, because you should know this before going into it. That's all we're saying. Let's get the answers. The city wants to save money. Do you really think the plan is great? I don't know. And I can't answer that question because they're not sharing with us the data we should have. The in-network cheapest providers will be HHC and a local chain that I've used, but will never go to again because the doctors and PAs were terrible. And so they like to say, and I've heard Mulgrew say this several times, there's no tiering. Of course there's tiering. You have tiering where there's no copays on HHC facilities and ACPNYs. There's a different copay for in-network, and then there's higher copays or coinsurances for out-of-network. That's tiering. I don't care how the hell you look at it. If it wasn't tiering, it would be a same across the board. That's tiering. Michael Mulgrew, show us the beef. I hear you. Yes, it's a definite no-brainer. We need to see the contract, not in someone's summary. And that's disturbing, Lauren, because we keep hearing these UFT retirees and active members saying, well, you've never seen a contract. You don't have to see the contract. You've never been in this situation. You've never had a plan replace the current plan that was like the default plan that most people go into, or even the plan. So HIP is the benchmark. Every plan that the city offers can be paid to by the city up to this point, right? Let me get rid of that comment. So up to this point, if you choose GHI right now, I think today that plan's a little bit lower than the HIP plan, but a couple years ago that plan was higher. The stabilization fund paid for that difference. If that stabilization fund didn't exist, like it doesn't today, you would be paying that difference. This new plan, the MLC leaders agreed to save $1 billion to the city in this plan. That is 10%. They widened a network. They're saying they increase services. They're saying the plan will not increase in cost for 5 years. Where's the savings coming from to fund this? Just explain it. That's all we're asking. Show us the network, show us the prior auth, show us the formulary, and show us the funding agreement. Because what happened in the 2018 MLC agreement? They said that they would save $600 million. They never said how. They decided to force retirees into MA. When the court stopped that, they had no funding. And these lame morons never went back to do a plan B. What should we do next? Because they didn't want to pay. And most of the other options were paying something or giving something back. So if they couldn't get it out of retirees who were no longer in their unions and didn't really vote for the rest of them, other than like 1 or 2 unions, didn't make a difference. They weren't going to do it. They kept fighting to get the money out of a retiree who no longer had a say on their union contracts. When the savings didn't come to fruition and there was no money going into the stabilization fund and they refused to come up with another plan to fund it, it put the stabilization fund into bankruptcy. There was no money. It's empty. So the difference between GHI and HIP was going unfunded. PICA was unfunded. The widows and children, unfunded. This is what the MLC deal did. It literally imploded healthcare the way we knew it. There is no deal that we could see in this plan that announces in writing how the funding is going to be done. And if it's not met, what would happen? What would they do to try to make it up? There's also, this is an agreement between the city and the insurance company, not between the city and the unions. We have not seen anything yet that said this plan will be premium free for 5 years. We've not seen anything yet that says the copays won't go up. And if they do, how often and to how much? You're not seeing that. You need to see this information. Stop taking people at their word, because this is what they did during this whole MA debacle. I have no trust. There's been no trust in what they're doing because of what they did to us. And some of them still won't even admit that this is a mistake. And even if they don't want to admit that this is a mistake, what they did was a mistake to us. Okay, and I've said that before. You don't have to apologize to me or to any of you. You have to come to us and say, let's work to make this better. Let's make sure this doesn't happen again. And they haven't done that. That's the issue. I don't need an apology. Tell me that you will help us pass 1096 or some sort of a bill that would protect what people had. That you will acknowledge that passing predatory copays on people is putting them into medical debt or preventing them from accessing care because they have small pensions and they can't afford to see the doctor. They won't even admit that. So are they really trying to help you? Or they're trying to live up to some bad deal that they made or some bad deal in a dark room? I don't know. We as retirees need to coach the active employees. Let's go. Yes, you do. Long Beach, New York, sure, hold it up longer. How many retirees are not getting access to healthcare? And that's the problem. But you want to make sure that you're not jumping from the frying pan literally into a fire. History is repeating itself in fashion, and they're rolling out the new plan. Hello from Bay Ridge. Hello, Maureen. Okay. And I recognize that the current plan is horrible for people who are out of the New York metro area. But that doesn't mean that you should accept something else that's substandard, even though if you don't know that it's substandard because no one's telling you all of the details. They should be willing to tell you and prove to you that this is something you can get behind. You should be asking yourself, why are they not showing me that? Why are they redacting the crap out of this and not showing you that if the benchmarks aren't met, that it's not going to come out of your wallet? You don't have anything to guarantee that. Nothing. And if you're willing to take that risk, that's a fool's bargain. Harvey, my impression is that we want 1096 brought up ASAP, but we lack the 34 votes to override the mayor's veto. So isn't it better to wait? We're not pushing it to go to a vote, Harvey. We're trying to get more people on the bill. We're still working on that. Something's up with the MLC. I don't know. Good evening from Eastchester. No one can take original Medicare from retirees. It's the supplement they seem to want it. Yes. And if you lose the supplement, most people will lose their traditional Medicare because they won't be able to afford the supplement, which means if they can't afford the 20% out-of-pocket copay, coinsurance, because there's no supplement, they can't stay on traditional Medicare, Long Beach. They would be forced into Medicare Advantage by default. It's not that you're they're taking Medicare away from you. They're taking the supplement. If they take that, for many retirees, it would force them into managed care. That's the difference. Shouldn't Greg Floyd have recused himself to avoid the appearance of impropriety? I mean, that's a really good point. I could add that to the list of questions to the city MLC, but, I think the vote hasn't happened yet. Bennett Fisher has said, because we're not attorneys, why should we ask for the contract? Really? That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard. See, and then, of course, there's a group of RTC people attacking me for not supporting the RTC. This is why. That kind of a statement tells me you don't even belong in this position as an RTC leader, where they're posting pictures and they're protesting every other freaking thing in the city, but they're not coming out to support what they ran on. Retiree healthcare, 1096, 3607, 4639. What are they doing other than kissing UFT leadership's ass? I don't know. Since a gazillion providers will participate, they should publish a list of handful of providers that don't participate. Do we know who's representing the UFT at the MLC? So Long Beach. So in those meetings, typically, sometimes Mulgrew shows up, sometimes he doesn't, but it's typically Jeff Sorkin, I believe, that goes to that meeting. And I will tell you, I've been on a meeting that there was a vote held that was unannounced, and Jeff said he did not have permission to cast a vote, thus he abstained. That's perfect, Marianne. The MLC does not have a bargaining license. No, they have no bargaining certificate whatsoever. They are not a union. The $1 billion in savings is a straw man or red herring. Executive bonuses, consultant fees, commissions and overrides, lobbying fees. A handful of City Hall people are getting a little butter on their toast. Teachers and cops who are working hard, screw you. I'm telling you. It's very unfortunate, but young actives have under 45 or so take their health for granted. And that's because many of them are not having health issues, so they're not really using their healthcare. They're not thinking about it, So, Captain, once again, I do recognize that the current plan that you have is not good for you or your family. The one that they could be putting you in might just be worse. You may have a doctor that would accept the plan near you. Yay, you have a doctor. But if everything that you have to go through or that your doctor wants you to have has to sustain a prior authorization, you're going to have a problem. You don't even know where you live if how many doctors of what specialties are in the network. Let's find that out, shall we? Because then you can say, this plan would work for me and my family, and I would say, let's make sure we support it. We're asking for transparency, and I think you should want that too before you jump into a plan that you don't know is actually going to be beneficial for you. If you don't know what prior authorizations are in this plan, who can change them, how often they can add more, that's a risk you're willing to take? Okay. I will not take that risk. We know what that looks like. Originally, Aetna told us there were 10, and then they came back to us with thousands. So we're not taking that anyone at their word that there's only 10 or there's only 50% less. It'll be great. 50% less of what? You can't even tell me how many prior auths are in the CBP plan right now. So 50% of what? And what are they on? That's a fair question. And the court already affirmed we were right to ask that because twice they gave us a temporary restraining order. So I know we're right. Thank you so much for not forgetting about the pre-Medicare retirees. Mike, I'm not forgetting. This is important to us. The MLC goes into anaphylactic shock when asked for transparency. I know. You know why? What? Why are many Jewish representatives, et cetera, screaming hell because all this is happening over the high holy days? Well, that can't be used as grounds for religious observance discrimination. I don't really know that was happening, but hey, Larry, how are you? Larry, your local agent 007. I know we're not dead, so watch out. Matthew, can you provide an update on what we're doing, growing our organization? So Matthew, what we've just recently done is we've worked with an IT group in helping our outreach in reaching active workers and non-Medicare retirees. So a younger subset of retirees and some active workers. So we are building that reach. We will probably start that next week, I believe, because the database has to be reformatted with all the contacts that we have now. And I think we're adding about 200,000 people. Most have an email address, some have a cell phone. So we'll be trying to reach them either by cell or by email and sending out who we are, what we're doing, and how you can help work with us. So that's what we're doing. Sherry Glatter and retiree copay. So far, I see no evidence that there is litigation. So far, I don't see what's happening with appeals. Okay, so Sherry, there is no movement. Right now, everything is kind of like hanging in the balance. There's nothing to fight. They're yet still not bringing this back to the attorneys. We are still in negotiations over the copay case. And we keep saying this. This isn't changing. They have to meet certain requirements that we are asking them for. They owe all of you that paid copays in 2022 money back. They have to figure out how they're going to pay that back. So that conversation is slow. It's a pain in the ass, but there is no update on the copay case. It is still, they're trying to figure out how to give you your money back. 2, they're telling us that the copays are not going away because the unions put them there and so did the city. So we're trying to fight that back. And that may end up having to be the next mayor that helps us do that. Not this mayor, because this mayor seems to have his head up his ass. The Benkowski case was sent back to the Supreme Court. There's nothing yet to argue. We're not being forced into anything. And remember, if we move to calendar that Benkowski case, we're having to fight something that right now isn't a fight. Right now, you're not at a loss. You're into your traditional Medicare and your senior care. There hasn't been a move to take that away. If you wake up tomorrow morning and Mayor Adams decides to force us into Medicare Advantage, guess what? We then call the court and try to calendar that argument. It's best to preserve that for when we need the argument. We are literally working with a legal team that knows what they're doing. You've relied on them for the last 4.5 years. Right now, the only risk you have is the current copays, and we have been trying to work through that. That is not moving fast. They still can't figure out how they're going. They know they have to reimburse you, but we believe we're not going to get the relief from the copays until at least we get another mayor, because this one doesn't seem to be doing anything, and neither does Adrienne Adams. So I understand your frustration. Trust me, so do I. I pay the same bills you do, and my pension is $35,000. I don't know what yours is, but I'm telling you, I have the same problem. This isn't lost on any of us. So I'm begging you to just have patience, because the lawyers are constantly speaking with the city in trying to get this done. I can't tell you much more than that because there's really not much more to tell. You know me to update you at all possible opportunities on everything about our cases. There's nothing to tell. They'll keep kicking this can down the road. Right now, it's the status quo. Nothing changes. And we should be praised for that, because you should be praising that, because you're not having that other expense of $200 a person a month where you could have, and being forced into managed care. Yes, the copays are a pain in the ass. We're still trying to work on that. That's really the short of it. PSC CUNY had a meeting this past Wednesday. There's a video circulating. Letitia, if you could send that to me. I have not seen that. Stop your cope, send it to Marion. So that's actually a great point. Let me send the link for cope here. I'm putting that in the chat. And let's see, for my, I guess that didn't start. I thought I hit that. So my Instagram people, if you did not see the video, I'm putting the cope link in the chat on Instagram as well. Instagram, for some reason, doesn't feed over. If they're going to do this to retirees, what are they pulling in? What are they pulling in other areas of New York City government? I had no idea. Let's see. Yeah, start collecting money for the next lawsuit. We are. That's why we asked you today to make sure that if you're an under 65 retiree and you haven't really been vested into this organization, you start investing in this organization, because we most likely will end up now having to help protect you. By definition, a preferred provider, PPO, has tiers. It's crazy. What does that say? I think we need to realize we will never see the contract, need to focus on what we do and don't know, and keep asking questions. Email Jeff Sorkin with any questions you have. No answers equals no vote. Good point. Your message has to get out far, as we, those who can vote, need to outvote those given their script, as they're afraid to be purged. And, you know, Marie, that was disturbing, because I think I said that yesterday. You had Rodney Grubiak and Bobby Greenberg and Mike Schulman and Emily, you know, making these comments that they're not qualified to make. They're regurgitating what they're being told with no evidence. This affects the lives of 750,000 people. They should have taken this more seriously. They said the same crapola when they were spewing bullshit over the Medicare Advantage plan 4 years ago. They said the same shit. I was on those chats with Rodney Grubiak. They were in pages where we were on, where they were calling us shills, that the plan was wonderful. Clearly, we proved it wasn't. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're so used to drinking the Kool-Aid, they don't know truth from fact. All they could do is follow the leader. I don't have to follow a leader. My team literally starts to dive into all of this documentation and recognize when we pull in other experts that we're correct. We have to ask for more evidence. And I want to show you a few things. I know there's like a million more questions here in the chat, but let's see. There are no updates on 1096. There's still only 18 people on it, but we're picking up on some of the things that we're doing. We're holding an event in October for council members that we're hoping to educate them, because they really don't know. And we've actually had a few reach out to us. Ellen, I've recently had brain surgery for an essential tremor at NYU Langone. I am uninsurable in most of the country, including where my son lives in LA, to get a new Medigap plan if the city succeeds in pushing us off our Medigap. I hope you're feeling okay, Ellen. What can we do to get a seat at the most important committee where your knowledge and vote can be counted? How can we use our influence for this? I don't know. Yes, Captain, I am fully aware. I don't know where you live, but I am familiar with this plan. I've been doing healthcare for like 30 years. I know there's a ghost network. One of our attorneys has been suing Emblem over this ghost network. I'm fully aware of what you're dealing with. GHI asked for pre-authorization all the time when I was active. I couldn't wait to get on Medicare. And that's because they were negotiated by the unions and the MLC. If they tried to screw us before, chances are they'll do it again. So in summary, the city, will not show us anything. I can't tell you that, John, because they will be forced by a court to show us what we're asking for, because 2 courts have actually demanded that they do it before. Has Brannon contacted you to explain how he's going to push 1096 across the finish line before his term ends? He has deleted many of my comments about coming on our Friday Night Live. How about another one of our supporters before the election, Brad Lander? He's been arrested twice, supporting the rights of illegals. Is he willing to get arrested for retirees? I don't know, Joe. Neither one of them have contacted me back, sadly. Do you expect council members at time to answer if they will support Councilmember Marte for speaker with regards? Yes, I do, Gerald. I do expect them to answer you. You're calling them and asking, would you support him? And mentioning some of the great, wonderful things in his 26-point plan that would help both them and their constituents of issues that they run up against today. This would be powerful for them if they had this. This is why. And it also exposes that you all know that he's running and you're watching what they're doing, because it's important. This is usually a race that's very secretly done, as it was in his video. Let me see if I could actually find that. Let me see if I could find that. Yeah. Because it was a really good video. Okay, let's see. I wanted to share this before, but okay, looks like he has another video up. Let me see if I could show you these, because these look pretty cool. Can I add another? Oh, yeah, I can. Okay. Share screen. Okay. Oops. All right, now let me go back to it.
As Speaker,
Whoops.
I'll keep it really simple. If a bill has a majority, it gets a hearing. If a bill has a supermajority, it gets a vote. We want a democracy, right? Well, let's finally act like it. I'm Councilmember Christopher Marte, and I'm running for Speaker to make sure that we can strengthen democracy here at home. Over the past 4 years, we battled Mayor Adams' vetoes, from banning solitary confinement on Rikers Island to expanding vouchers so people don't get evicted from their homes. But there's something no one's talked about: the Speaker's veto. Okay, that's not the official name, but here's what I mean. The Speaker controls whether anything moves forward, regardless of its support in the council. And when a bill has majority support, 26 out of 51 council members, and it doesn't even get a hearing. Even when a bill has a supermajority, 34 members, enough to override a mayor's veto, and it still doesn't even get a vote. As a result, life-saving legislation is sitting in limbo, from securing fair wages and safer conditions for workers to blocking big corporations from destroying our communities. This gatekeeping has to end. As Speaker, I'll keep it really simple. If a bill has a majority, it gets a hearing. If a bill has a supermajority, it gets a vote. We want a democracy, right? Well, let's finally act like it. I'm Councilmember Christopher Marte, and I'm running for Speaker to make sure that we can strengthen democracy here at home.
I thought that was a pretty cool video. Let me see if I find you his first one. That appears to be brand new. Oops. Is that showing? Oh, it is. Okay, let's do this.
City that will shape our future. No, not just that one. And almost nobody's talking about it. I'm Councilmember Christopher Marte, and I'm officially running to be the next Speaker of the New York City Council. I'm going to do something that's never been done before. I'm bringing the Speaker race directly to you. Right now, this race is being decided behind closed doors in secret meetings. But the Speaker is the second most powerful position in New York City. They decide what laws get passed, whether housing is truly affordable, and how much money goes into your neighborhood. If the Speaker doesn't agree with your council member, your community gets punished. New bathrooms in schools, cleaner streets, funding for food pantries, laws your council member wants to introduce. This isn't democracy. It's a system that forces council members to go along or get nothing. This hurts you, the people. I'm running to change that, to bring the power back to the people, to make sure City Hall is more transparent, democratic, and accountable. So your council member can fight for you without the fear of retaliation. With democracy under threat on a federal level, we shouldn't take local government for granted. I'm putting forward 26 ways to transform the New York City Council. And I'm not just sharing it with my colleagues, but I'm sharing it with you, the public. Check out my plan, 26 for 26, at marteforspeaker.com. There's a race happening in New York City that will shape our future. No, not just that one.
Okay, so those are the two Marte videos that are out. I will try to record them separately if you guys are not on Instagram so that you can see them. So another couple of questions that I see is, everyone, please, who is a delegate for UFT or chapter leader, please sign up for the September 29th meeting. You can be in person, online to vote, or online to vote. Okay, so please, everyone who's a delegate or for UFT or a chapter leader, please sign up for the September 29th meeting. You can be in person or online to vote. If you know a delegate who normally doesn't attend these meetings, please kindly educate them on these issues and tell them how important your vote is, okay? So that's coming from fellow UFT. Now, I want to get into some of a little bit of the history that I could not show you yesterday for some reason. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about, there's a couple more things I do want to talk about before I show you history. We put up a link a couple of weeks ago asking for people to help us with political action. We asked you to help us with attending community boards and attending events. Some of you wrote back to the people that are helping us run this mission, telling us that you don't think it's important. I'm going to tell you that it is. We're going to put that link up again, and we're going to put it out in an email. And I'm looking for people to attend these community boards. Community boards happen to pressure the council people or the elected in their district. Their community boards. When they take up an issue, they want the elected from their districts to represent that issue. This is why it's important for you to go to these meetings. So we have a small group of people who have been doing this, and they're getting tired, and they're traveling around the 5 boroughs. We could surely use your help doing this. The more help we have from the community board shows a coalition of people that have your back. So I'm going to put the link up again. And I want you to sign up to go to these meetings, especially in your borough. We have retirees that are going from Brooklyn to the Bronx, from Brooklyn to Staten Island, from the Bronx to Staten Island. You guys could represent in your own borough. We need you to speak at those meetings. We will help you with what to say and help prepare you. But it would help that if these people who've been doing this show up for the meeting, it helps if there's constituents from within the district or the borough to help. So I appreciate that you have a differing of opinion. We have advisors telling us that this is one of the strategies to use, and we could surely use your support in that. So I don't want to hear flack. This is a homework assignment. I'm looking for people who live in these districts that could help us out with this community board mission. I'm going to put the link back up, and I'm going to ask you to sign up for it. Please help us out with this. It would surely help our retirees that are running around the 5 boroughs, helping to protect you. That's the community board issue. I've told you about the letter. There's a website called New York Care, and they are fighting to protect health benefits against this plan. They're raising transparency issues. We are working with that group right now to understand what their goal is. So know that our organization is fighting basically, I think, similarly for the same thing. Give us some time to vet what their process is and what we can or what we can do together with them, if anything at all. But right now, we are the group that is focusing as well, not just on Medicare retiree, but also non-Medicare retiree, and trying to educate the active workers at the same time. So don't think that there's this other group in place of us. We are the group that's doing that. This is a small little pop-up grassroots group that just popped up, but we don't know everything about them. Give us some time to vet that, because we might actually have another partner in a coalition. So hang tight on that as well. Okay. So the Chris Marte, we also posted on our Facebook page, and I'm in the middle of updating the website with the same information. We're asking you to do a call, a soft touch, not a pressure campaign. Don't call them 10 times or email them 10 times a day. It's a single call. You're going to call that list once, and then you don't need to call it again. We're just asking you to call them and say, you're a New York City retiree and you want to know where their office stands on supporting Chris Marte for speaker. And make sure you have some of the talking points from his 26 for 26 that's on his Marte for Speaker website. That way will help you, because the point of electing someone like him to speaker would be helpful, because his policies, which are quite public and transparent, unlike the other people who are running, like a Julie Menin, these people, or Amanda Farias, for example, who kind of screwed us in the first time around. These are people who are not being transparent about what their issues are. And if they're not willing to buck the system or change the system, they're going to keep the system as status quo. Right now, as you saw in those 2 videos that he did, he's showing you that there's a problem with the way that this is run. Even if there's a large support for a bill, if the speaker says it doesn't move, it doesn't move. At least put the bill to a hearing and expose why it shouldn't move any further. But they're not willing to do that either. So read through those, take out 1 or 2 points that you want to express to the council member and say, listen, this is important. Well, how do you feel about this or this? This means something to us. Don't you think this would help you as a council member or your constituents? I'd like to know where you stand on this, and ask them what their support is. I'm going to create, I was in the middle of creating it today, but I had to bring Jules back to the hospital today. So I will create that by the weekend and then put that back up, so that as you're starting to get these answers, I need you to keep track of who you spoke to, the office, and what their response was, because we're going to take that feedback and we're going to see what we could do to help maybe convince them that they should be voting for a Chris Marte for speaker. So that's that. No stress, no pressure, just a simple ask. Hey, how do you feel about this? Okay. And our Facebook page will be closing Monday at 1 p.m. and it'll reopen Thursday at 7 a.m. for Rosh Hashanah. Everyone who recognizes Rosh Hashanah, celebrates Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you to our moderators who definitely could use a little bit of a break. I know I can as well, too. Dealing with Jules here. Jules. She's messing with her stitches. So dealing with Jules has been taking a lot of my time, unfortunately. Okay, history. While we have a little few more minutes before I get through to all of that. Let's see, quick questions. To the newbies here, listen, participate, donate, and learn. Share widely with your retired public service friends. The numbers matter more than ever. From a friend who turned 65 the same month, I received the letter from my Union Welfare Fund administrator that I was being enrolled in a mysterious Alliance Medicare Advantage plan and then fraudulent Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. I know. So you hear the update on my dog. So Jules here. Jules has a bunch of staples, a bunch of stitchers. She had a tumor the size of a large orange on her left shoulder that grew behind her shoulder blade. And she had a drain put in to drain the fluid buildup. Today, that drain came out, and but we're having some other issues because her liver and kidney issues are elevated. Today, they said she's anemic, which explains why she's severely lethargic. And I just got to keep an eye on her because she's having trouble walking. So that's my Jules update. Right, Jules? Yeah, she's a little confused today. So please push for donations. I'm in Florida. Many people in my community are slacking off with donations because they've not heard anything about the court cases. They feel that New York politics takes a precedence. They're not understanding that New York politics will affect the court cases. I could write something about that in the newsletter. I did just post up again today our thermometer for an update. And now we know that we're still dealing with this court. Our attorney fees don't go away. They may dip a little bit because they're not going to court and we're not fighting, but they're still in conversations and we have letters going back and forth. There's meetings that they have to attend. We have to attend, and that's not changing. So I can explain that in an email, but just because we're not in court doesn't mean that there's not a court battle. There's not a legal battle still happening. I will remind them of that, but we really haven't been talking politics because there's really not politics to talk about. Right now, this is like another dumpster fire. Does one need to be a resident of the community to chat at the local board? John, it's preferred that you are a resident of that community if you're of that community board. But no, the board, our group of people fighting this would love any help, at least even in the same borough in which you're in, if you don't want to travel outside the borough like they are. I believe that after there has been no committee hearing on a bill for a certain amount of time, the prime sponsor can force a hearing via filing a petition. Yes, they can. I don't understand why Marte hasn't done that, because we don't know that we have the votes to actually support it. So the concern is, why would you do that? And there's also time constraints in having to get that done. We've talked about that with them, and they're not comfortable with doing it from the feedback that they're getting because they're saying that it's not going to happen. So we need to build more support for that. That's exactly why. Now, what I want to show you is some of the documents that I couldn't show you, last night. All right. Your healthcare plan. Oops, that's 19, which is the one I want to show you. Okay, let's start with this, for example. In 1964, this plan was for the police department. I have the same exact document for the fire department. I think that's this one. Yep, fire. And this document was signed by Theodore Lang, and it said that the firefighters were going to get certain benefits and increases in pay. And this is, mind you, December 2nd of 1964, okay? This was before 12-126. This is before collective bargaining passed in the city, and this is before the existence of the MLC, okay? 1964. So the two highlighted sections I have is assumption by the city of New York of 75% of the total payments for your choice of health and hospital insurance, not to exceed 75% of the full cost of the HIP Blue Cross 21-day plan on a category basis, effective January 1 of 1965. The category basis was single and family, That's because Medicare didn't exist at the time. So that's not a category, no matter how many times the city wants to say it did. Under letter G, it says assumption by the City of New York for the full payment of the full choice of health and hospital insurance, not to exceed 100% of the full cost of the HIP Blue Cross 21-day plan on a category basis, effective January 1 of 19. I think that says 66. Let me see if I could pull up that because my eyes are. 1960. No, it does say 60. Yeah, it's 66. So the first one was 1965. The letter G is 1966. So this shows you that they had every intention for uniformed forces to pay for the full cost of healthcare. 12-126 wasn't passed until 1967. So this explains to you that uniformed were given a choice of healthcare plans, and they had three choices: HIP, GHI, and Metropolitan. You had that choice of plan. So now I want to show you 1944. Health Insurance Plan of the Greater New York. This is the plan that I was trying to read to you yesterday. Okay, now, on April 30th, 1944, Mayor LaGuardia opened his broadcast to the people of the city of New York with the following words: I want to talk today about medical care, proper and complete Medicare for all. I want to submit to the people of our city a health insurance plan that will provide for every member of the family medical and surgical and hospital services, as well as home treatment. And when I say proper and complete medical care, I mean the services of a physician whenever needed, either at his office or, if necessary, at the home of the patient, and also surgical care for serious catastrophic illnesses or maternity care, including hospital specialist, diagnostic, laboratory, and clinical services. Let me come back to you real quick, change the page, and finish what I was saying. In fact, everything necessary to keep one from getting sick and everything medically available to cure one who is sick. To make this program a reality, the mayor and 79 other New Yorkers sponsored a nonprofit corporation to be known as Health Insurance Plan of Greater New York, known as HIP, whose sponsors and board of directors represent business and finance, organized labor, the medical profession, health and civic agencies, and municipal government after securing the approval of the State Department of Insurance, which is today is known as DFS, and social welfare signature of the Supreme Court Justice Ferdinand Pecora. This was landmark. Details of the plan are almost complete, and the plan will be offered to the public as soon as approval of the contract is secured from the State Department of Insurance. Medical service will commence shortly thereafter. The plan will provide the widest possible freedom of choice. Subscribers will be able to select not only among cooperating individual physicians, but also among groups of physicians practicing teamwork medicine, which has been so successfully demonstrated by group practice. The plan will provide services of cooperating physicians and teams of physicians rather than cash indemnities. And what they used to do is they used to provide you like a reimbursement for going to the doctor. The plan is completely voluntary. Enrollment of both employers and physicians will be on a voluntary basis. No one will be forced to subscribe, and no physician will be forced to cooperate. The plan is comprehensive in scope. I mean, this was landmark. This was one of the first plans, and this is 1944. This is how long HIP has been around. Now, the city was offering this plan to its members, and you were paying a small amount for it. And for the uniformed, as of 1964, when they passed this rule for 65 and 66, the city was going to pay a large chunk of it. Now, here's a summary program description known as SPD. You see that right there. Your choice of health plans, transfer period, and enrollment information, fall of 1986. Okay. The first letter inside is a letter from Mayor Koch, and it says, September 1986, dear fellow employee, the cost of obtaining medical care has continued to increase dramatically. The city realizes the adverse impact that these higher costs have on its employees, retirees, and their families, and we are committed to providing high-quality health care. Therefore, in concert with the municipal unions, doesn't say MLC, Even though this is 1986, the MLC did exist. It doesn't say that. It says with the municipal unions, the city had initiated major improvements in the employee health benefit program. We are now offering you an enhanced program of health protection benefits that have been approved under HIP, GHI, MedTeam, MedPlan programs. New programs like Blue Cross Health Net, HIP Choice, Metropolitan Health Plan, MaxiCare, Mid-Hudson Health Plan, and U.S. Healthcare are being introduced, in addition to 2 additional MedTeam sites. Nearly all of these plans are designed to pay in full most covered medical expenses when you use participating medical groups and healthcare providers. Whatever plan you choose, most, if not all of the cost for the basic plan is paid for by the city. If you wish additional benefits, an optional benefit rider can be purchased. The information contained in this booklet describes the benefits available under each plan and provides important details concerning enrollment, eligibility, and other general information regarding benefits program. Please take the time to read this information carefully. It will allow you to make an intelligent decision as to which city health plan best meets your needs. I wish you and your family years of good health. Sincerely, Edward Koch. Now, why is it that they can give you a program like this, a summary plan book, and tell you all of the contracts that the city has and sharing with you all the details of these plans in September, ahead of a November enrollment? But they can't do that now. Asking for a friend? I don't understand. And this is the 1986 SPD. This tells you a lot of information that you're not even getting from the other ones. And what you also know is that back in 1986, they weren't trying to reduce your health care to fund another backdoor deal like they are today. This was also the same time of the creation of the equalization agreement, the HIP and GHI rate deal, and also the creation of the stabilization fund. This is insane. Let's see. Am I missing any other documents? I think I gave you everything. Nope, I gave you everything. Okay, a couple more questions. I've emailed my community board twice concerning our bill. Last week, and again today, no response. I will go to community board 2 in Queens. So Deborah, I really need you to communicate with Camille, because Camille is also handling this. She's like my team leader. Camille, if you're on this, please reach out to Deborah, George Farley. She's community board 2 in Queens. I don't remember, because I don't have in front of me the list that she's keeping track of, whether or not she already has secured that from community board 2. So we want to be able to educate you that maybe we have it, maybe we don't. And if we don't, then work with Camille in getting that letter of support. And she has a letter of support that she could give you, and probably have someone attend with you at the next meeting. But you have to register in advance and let her tell you how to do that. Oh, Debbie and I have been in touch about. Perfect. That's what I want to see. Okay. And Deborah, we absolutely know that Julie Wan hasn't been working with us. And we also know, yeah, they did give us unanimous support, and they sent a letter to Julie Wan. You know what that got us? Nothing. Yes, but I understand that. If the board gave us a letter, that we're not using those letters yet. Right now, we're collecting them because we will be using them. So hang in there. Speaking of mayoral candidates, did Z reach to you? Anyone here who is his neighbor can write him group letters. So I today with my board met with one of his policy people. So stay tuned, but not him. And I understand the Chelsea Democrats were at an event last night, and that wasn't really good either. So Camille says they had promised me a resolution last spring, but it never happened. Then they ghosted me. So Camille, what I'd like to ask is that possibly you ask our advisory team that maybe we send a large group of retirees from that district to the next meeting. That may have more of an impact. We would need to do a call out for retirees well in advance of the next meeting to get them to go. To put on our Facebook page to get them to go out to that, okay? So that's all I have. Again, remember that the page will be closing on Monday at 1 p.m. If anything does happen to break, we will open. That the page will reopen on Thursday at 7 for Rosh Hashanah. Happy New Year to everyone who celebrates. Please do those phone calls next week if you can, or emails to those council members. I should have the website done and the email out to all of you. Encourage your non-Medicare retirees to contribute to the organization, as we look like we might be initiating a request for a restraining order going forward if the city does not provide us with our demands. And the letter, I want to share with you the letter that we sent, just so you know what I said, as I think that's important. Okay. Okay. I said this September 8th. Dear Commissioner Campion, as the city's unions are about to review the new NYC EPPO plan details, I would like to remind you that we retirees are once again being kept out of the loop. We are not represented by the unions, and important details regarding the NYC EPPO, which affects tens of thousands of current retirees, are being kept from us. The under 65 retirees are entitled to the same information about the NYC EPPO, which is being provided to the unions. Accordingly, I formally request that you provide me with a copy of the full contract, including appendices, the list of all the prior authorizations, and the list of networks, the drug formulary, and that you or someone knowledgeable from your agency be available to answer our questions. As you will recall, twice over the past few years, when the city tried to switch retirees' health insurance plan and failed to provide us with this sort of information, the New York County Supreme Court preliminary enjoined healthcare switch based in part on the lack of transparency. See the NYC Organization of Public Service Retirees versus Campion, County Index 158815/2021. NYSEF numbers, documents 112 and 166. And Bentkowski versus City of New York, NYSEF 154962/2023. Document 95. It's in everyone's interest to avoid that outcome a third time. I respectfully ask you to provide me with the requested information as soon as possible so that our retirees can make an informed enrollment decision for themselves and their families, and I appreciate your help and I look forward to hearing from you. When they didn't answer that email on the 8th, we then sent them a letter, Federal Express, to their office. And the same day that they received it, they replied back. They thanked me for the information, and they said that the email that we had sent, thank you for your email regarding the negotiated acquisition for health benefits for pre-Medicare retirees and employees and their dependents. She called it PIN 0223 N002, which is known as the solicitation, and that is the RFP number. Please be advised that the procurement process for the solicitation is ongoing, and should the process advance and the appropriate stage, additional information will be made public in accordance with the applicable laws. The solicitation remains subject to successful finalization and approval through the city's established procurement procedures. So we wrote them back. And we said that you say additional information, quote unquote, will be made publicly available at the appropriate stage. Can you please confirm, one, that this additional information will include all of the information I requested in my email of September 8th, and two, the information will be publicly available before November 2025. Without your explicit confirmation, I will assume that the answer to both is no. Thank you for your assistance in this important and time-sensitive manner. And I will tell you that as of today, they have not answered that back. Why is that important? That lets them know that we're reserving our right to file litigation in the likeness of what we filed in 21 and 23, in which we were granted a restraining order. And if they want this plan to go through, then they will provide us with the transparency that we are asking. So if you are an under 65 retiree, or you have dependents that are under 65 and on the GHI CBP plan or some city plan, primarily the GHI CBP plan, you need to know we just shot that arrow. And we are letting them know that we are going to demand this information and the transparency. And if we don't get it, we're moving to the next phase. And I will also tell you, we have many folks who are union that are joining us this time. So stay tuned. Beverly, can you put that crown on Jules so she can't get to the stitches? Well, Jules does have that little cone of shame, but I took it off of her and I put on her little t-shirt. So she's wearing like a little polo shirt. But yes, she's going to be okay. Many folks who are non-Medicare retirees move outside of New York City or even the lower counties, so they have different interests than actives who are restricted to the city and few surrounding counties. Yeah, and one of the union presidents I spoke to today didn't really know, because they're a small union, didn't really know that this is an issue for people who don't live in the state. So we had a very good conversation about that. Yeah, so it was actually very good. Perhaps they're not responding because it doesn't affect the retirees right now. Yep, I do hear you. So that's all I got, guys. We're just pushing an hour and a half, and I know you guys want to go relax, but I did want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Don't get frustrated with that homework assignment for asking them about Marte. It's really easy, and it's just really a soft ask. It's not hard, for you to do that. Detta, so hold on. I'm just seeing comments now in Instagram. Can you see now? Hope you can see comments and questions. Let me see. Detta, I'm not seeing any questions. If you can hear me now, put a question in and I'll wait a minute and I will answer whatever your question is if you're still on here. For some reason, the comments don't come over to the live stream on Instagram, and I don't understand why that is. So I always have to flip between them, the both of them. Can you see now? Hope you can see comments and questions. So Detta, if you're still here, because I can't really tell if you're here. So I'm going to hang on just another minute or two, Detta, if you are here. Otherwise, email us at the org, and I'll put the email down. Retirees@nycretirees.org. I'm not seeing questions in the Instagram chat. Hi, can't see comments. So Detta, for some reason in Instagram, you're not able to see these. What I need you to do then is start to watch these either from our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. So all the questions that I'm saying, if I'm talking about the questions, I'm highlighting them on the screen. So that's how you know what I'm answering. You'll see it pop up. Like, for example, let me move back over. So here you'll see David. Let me come back over to you. When I'm on streaming and the questions come up from Facebook or YouTube, I'll highlight them, and there's a lag as well with Instagram for some reason. So right now you're going to see David Schatz. It says, Marianne and all, enjoy a healthy and happy weekend. So those are the questions that I'm highlighting on the screen. You'll see them like right there. And those are the ones I'm answering. If you have more, just email the org and we'd be happy to help you. I just put the email down in the comments to send us an email. So, and I'm sorry that I'm not seeing them, but Instagram likes to control things, and I just don't have that ability to multitask. We literally live stream this into 5 places. It's going into Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So every Friday at about this time, you'll know that it's there. Now, if you missed it, you can always go back to YouTube or our Facebook page and click the link. But these videos are literally memorialized in YouTube. Instagram doesn't let me keep them there for some reason because they're like not an Instagram live. I'm literally feeding this video into our platform of Instagram. But if you went to YouTube, you can actually go back and watch this later on. So don't worry, these videos are under the live tab. Sometimes I try to remember to go back and download them and put them under the videos, but because these are lives, if you go at the top, you'll see our channel. It'll have shorts, videos, lives. Click lives. This is a live, and you can watch it right there at any time. They never go away. Okay, so those are Fridays, and sometimes I do them in between. You can always check our channel for any of our videos. Okay, and I think that's it. So, guys, if I could say, have a great weekend, have a good night, and for those who celebrate, Happy New Year to everyone. Do your homework. I'm going to send out that email this weekend. I will update the website this weekend. We could surely use some more help that way. If you know members that are under 65 or have non-Medicare dependents, please encourage them to support our organization. Go to our website, sign up for the emails, create an account, make a donation to this fund, because I believe we are moving to the next stage in this for this plan, for more transparency. We need those answers. When I'm done with that email to the members of the MLC, I will post that link so that you could see the questions, and then you can share them with your union friends and let them know that those are the questions that we've been asking and that we're not getting an answer to. It's a compilation of questions that are coming from other unions, as well as health policy experts that have been helping us and these other labor organizations look through this. We are continuing to form coalitions on this. Now we are moving into this under 65 active worker plan with also coalitions. So we believe that's the best way to go. It's worked for us before. It's going to work for us again. Okay. That's it, guys. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank the moderators. Make sure you give them hugs and appreciate them answering your questions and being there for you when you need them. To the retirees that reached out to us about having issues with their IRMA forms, as well as healthcare issues that the UFT Welfare Fund was not helping you for, that is our job. We are grateful to have that opportunity to help you, especially when the people that you're relying on at UFT Welfare Fund are not helping you. So for the people that are not aware, there was a retiree in the UFT in the page, Pissed Off Teachers, who was having a problem getting her husband out of the hospital. And there was a huge copay of like $1,400 a month out of the hospital, but they would have covered the drug if he stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks. Like, that was ridiculous. So what we did was, when she told us that the UFT wouldn't help, I said, send me the information. And we helped her. So I'm hoping that she and her husband are having a restful weekend at home together. And to the people who were also sent us requests for getting OLR to answer you, all of those have been sent in today as well. Have a great weekend, everyone. Yes, retiree power. Have a great weekend, everybody. I love you. Ciao.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make.